Hello, I'm Susan Loving, the Transition Specialist at the Utah State Office of Education, and I'd like to talk to you today a little bit about Student-Led IEPs. What is a Student-Led IEP? This is one in which the student with a disability participates in the writing and creation of any part of the IEP. It may be the whole thing, it may be a short part of it, but if the student is actually participating in the development of that IEP. The student holds a leadership role at the IEP meeting. Frequently our students go and they just sit there and they don't want to be involved in the discussion. If it's a student-led IEP, the student actually has a role in presenting information and discussing goals at the IEP meeting. Student-led IEP meetings are designed to increase the student's involvement in the IEP process, increase the student's knowledge of his/her strengths and needs, and increase the student's self-determination and self-advocacy skills. These are all things that are critical issues as students transition to adult life. Why is it important for the student to participate or to lead his own IEP? First of all, there are some student benefits. The student builds self-advocacy skills and self-esteem. This gives the student some control over his/her education because the student is actually talking about what they want, what they need, and some skills that will help them achieve their post-secondary goals. It builds important social and conversational skills. It teaches the process of decision-making, goal setting, and achievement. And it helps the student better understand his or her own disability, including strengths and challenges. Parents also benefit by being involved more and having more voice in the IEP, because having the student lead the IEP really changes the structure of communication and conversation in that IEP meeting. It also helps improve communication with the teacher or teachers who are present at the meeting. It results in more self-determined youth who are able to make more choices and better choices for themselves. And it increases positive interaction with school personnel. Teachers also benefit by having a positive relationship with the student and the parent, and having the IEP meeting centered on student needs. Frequently, IEP meetings sort of veer off track and talk about a lot of other issues that are not directly related to the student need. If the student is leading the IEP and saying, this is what I need, this is what I want, this is what I need to learn in order to achieve my goals, the focus really is on the student's needs. And the IEP process makes sense. It's not just paperwork anymore, it's really all about the student's education. There are some challenges to implementing the student-led IEPs. First of all, students have to be taught how to do this. So this involves the teacher able to find some preparation time in order to teach the lessons. The teacher also has to prepare some lessons in direct instruction on disability awareness, self-determination, legal jargon and information, all of those acronyms that we use such as IEP, LRE, and confidentiality. The student needs to be able to decide what is going to be discussed outside the IEP meeting, and in determining the student's role and the presentation method. I'm sharing some presentation methods with you that might be helpful for some students. Some students could use a checklist. Either they read the information in the column labeled IEP steps, or they can look at the icons as a reminder of what they need to do. They could do the introduction, procedural safeguards, the general ed teacher input, progress on past goals, present levels of performance. They could ask the parents for any concerns, and they could talk about the special factors, such as the need for assistive technology. Or the team could decide, or the teacher could decide, that the student will only do one or two parts of this checklist and would be able to mark them for the student. The student might be able to follow sort of bulleted worksheets so that there could be 2 or 3 items under interest, under learning style, under strengths, and under needs. The student might benefit from following a conference guide so that the student starts with introducing the guests and the teacher, sharing information about their progress, and then they're actually rating their progress. I am happy or not happy with my progress. I do or don't need extra help at home. They might end up with smiling and saying, "Thank you for coming to my conference," as a way of closing the meeting. Again, the teacher could check that the student was only going to participate in certain sections of that conference guide. This student has some good presentation skills and is using an electronic whiteboard to display a PowerPoint presentation that he made. In this particular slide, he's discussing some things that are hard for him to do. And this could be something for any student. They could say, "It's hard for me to understand when the teacher talks to me in the class. It's hard for me to understand the assignments that the teacher has given. It's hard for me to copy information from the board." Any of these pieces of information are really important for the IEP team to know, and it helps the student identify the skills they need to improve. A student with limited verbal skills might develop a PowerPoint presentation with additional help, other people possibly doing the technology, and the student who has limited verbal and possibly motor skills could click the switch that moves between the slides. This one's pretty self-obvious. Crystal has identified the information, things that she likes and things she doesn't like. She likes music, she likes fashion and accessories, and she likes kittens. Things she apparently doesn't like: she doesn't like big dogs, she doesn't like dirt and being dirty, and she doesn't like loud noises or loud voices. The student might also develop a PowerPoint presentation that includes a slide about his disability and what it means to him. In this particular case, the student is identifying his disability as ADHD, Attention Deficit Hyperactivity Disorder. He has described how this impacts his performance in school. He says, "This means I have difficulty ignoring noises and people around me, and it's hard for me to get started and stay focused on the class." You can see how this could be very, very important as he's sharing the impact of his disability with each one of his general education teachers when he's asking for assistance or accommodations in that classroom. A school district in Utah recently completed the first year of a project teaching self-determination skills and student-led IEPs to all of their students in middle school and high school. At the end of the first year, they conducted a survey to rate how well the project worked. This is some information that students gave about what they liked about the meeting that they led. "I liked when I could talk about what I wanted to do after high school. I liked that I went over what I wanted to do for my career. I liked leading the meeting, having people there to help me. Everyone supports my decisions and wants to help me achieve my goals. I liked talking about my goals." And my favorite, "Oh, just the part where I was the host." I think the fact that these students can actually identify some things that worked when they led the meeting really gives us an idea of what's important. They want to be able to talk about what they want to do after high school. They like being in charge. They like knowing that there are people there who can help them. And I think this is an important thing to keep in mind when we're saying, let's encourage students to have more opportunities to actively participate in their IEP meeting. The school district also surveyed parents asking, how was the student-led meeting different than previous meetings? The student wrote a letter about his goals and read it at the meeting. Again, another presentation style for a student who really needs some supports in sharing that information. We learned more information. This could be because the student actually did some self-awareness and self-analysis and looked at what exactly he or she needed. And that might be something that the parents didn't know about. because he is old enough that he can make some decisions on his own. And we all know of parents of students who are transitioning to adult life that sometimes it worries us that these students are making some decisions on their own. But being in a student-led IEP opportunity allows the student to make some of those decisions with people around to support him in making them and making sure that he's making reasonable decisions. One parent said that their student was more involved in the meeting, and the parent of a student with more disabilities said the student was there. We asked her yes and no questions. Prior to this, I can only assume that the student either didn't attend the meetings or wasn't able to participate because she couldn't carry on a conversation with the other people on the team. In summary, more student involvement in the IEP process can lead to the student better understanding the impact of his or her disability on learning, working, and living. More student involvement in the IEP process can help the IEP team focus on the student's strengths and challenges. Students who are involved in their IEP development and hold more responsibility in the IEP process may become more engaged in learning about themselves and how they can achieve their goals. If you'd like to talk about how to involve your student in the IEP process, or just would like more information on IEP development in general, please feel free to contact me. I've included both my email address and my office phone number. Thank you very much.